All right, welcome into another edition of the Unbearable podcast. I'm Ryan Voss. With me, as always, is Drew Testa. Drew, how we doing?
Uh, not amazing. There's one thing I actually need to get off my chest. I'm not gonna say their name. They didn't say our name, but there's some people that want to throw some shade around, as they would call it. So I'm just letting them know. When they get to 10 videos, then we can talk.
Okay. All right. So you're giving them a little challenge. Let's see if they do this 10 times.
Yeah.
The Shy City boys, yeah, they have some beef with us. I guess we're in podcast beef. I've heard of like vlogger beef and stuff. So I think when you have podcast beef, that's when it means you made it.
I guess so.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we've been scrutinized for taking too long to make this video, but we kind of waited purposely because yes, the Bears have hired their general manager. Yes, they've hired their head coach, but there's still a lot of work being done. They just had their introductory press conferences yesterday, so we weren't able to react to that. That's a pretty important step. And they are just finalizing their staffs. We kind of want to know who's on their staffs before we talk to them. But the Chicago Bears have hired general manager Ryan Poles from the Kansas City Chiefs and head coach, former defensive coordinator of the Indianapolis Colts, Matt Eberflus. Drew, do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah. First of all, it took me a long time to figure out how to say the coach's last name. I didn't know how to say it at first, so I had to actually watch a bunch of videos to figure out how to pronounce it. Eberflus. That was a tough one, I think. But I mean, I'm just gonna say this about these two guys. We don't know if they're any good. We could sit here and analyze it. We're just gonna have to go out there and see what they do. Now, I actually did watch the press conference yesterday, and there was a lot of stuff that Eberflus was saying that I really liked. That being said, sounds like kind of an airhead. So when we want to get information from the media from relayed to us, we're gonna have to listen to Poles more so than Eberflus, because Eberflus is that man was born to be a football coach. He's got big Dan Campbell, Mike Vrabel energy, in my opinion. He's one of them type of guys.
Yeah, that's actually a very interesting take. I was unable to listen to the press conference or watch it or hear any of it. Usually I am able to hear some of it, but I did see some quotes. And I mean, like you said, it's hard to judge these guys off the first thing, but I think early returns are good. I mean, it seems like across the league, people are saying these are good hires. Eberflus, he had some good answers. One thing I liked about their press conference is that they had Justin Fields present. That didn't happen in 2015 when there was the new coach with John Fox and Ryan Pace. And it didn't happen in 2018 with Mitch Trubisky and Matt Nagy. So the fact that Justin Fields is there, that says a lot. The number one that says he cares about the Bears, and the Bears care about him and his opinions. So I thought that was a pretty cool move.
Yeah, it obviously makes it a lot better. Get him introduced earlier, get him talking earlier, because he's the most important cog in this whole piece. If he doesn't grow and develop, it doesn't matter if you have the greatest coach and the greatest general manager in the world. You're not going to win. So they need to get as acclimated as possible. Eberflus and Fields, and now the new offensive coordinator too. I can't think of his name, but I know he was Yeah. And so I mean, it's just about them three. I mean, really, it really is. You get all the support positions you want. I mean, we see guys like Antonio Brown, Odell Beckham Jr. getting these 1-year deals, coming on, making an impact midway through the season. It's easier than ever to find, I feel offensive talent, especially veterans, but you just got to nail that quarterback. And I think we did, but it's going to be on these guys to really hammer that home.
One thing that I think is a good sign is that Justin Fields said it feels great to have a fresh start. That's not something he had to say, but I mean, the fact that he said that, that's good. It's kind of you could kind of just push his rookie season aside, kind of like we were able to do with Joe Burrow. I mean, you couldn't judge Joe Burrow after 1 year because he missed half the season hurt. Justin Fields was hurt. He was not the starter. Just put that season aside. Next year, let's hit the ground running. And it happened with the Bengals there in the Super Bowl 2 years after drafting Joe Burrow. So I feel like the Bears are honestly a better team than the Bengals. And you see the Bengals, they got it right at quarterback. They got them some talent, and they're in the Super Bowl. So if it develops, we could be competitors immediately. And that's what GM Ryan Poles said. He thinks his team is ready to compete. I kind of agree. I don't feel like there's too many spots that are terrible, other than offensive line and maybe cornerback. But
Yeah. I mean, I was watching a video yesterday, like last night, of Olin Kreutz, and he was talking. It was just him reaction to the press conference. And one thing that I really liked that he said, that Heberflus said, and that he talked about, was that Heberflus said, when you guys show up to camp, make sure you bring your running shoes, not your cleats, which Heberflus said, which, okay, you could talk all this game, talk all you want, blah, blah, blah. But then when you get an actual former NFL player's opinion, like Olin Kreutz, and he said, I remember Lovey's first year, he said the first thing, that was the same thing he said too when he first got hired. And he held up, we were all running, and he said you saw a lot of the veteran players that were just kind of there collecting paychecks, and you kind of saw the guys who wanted it and the guys who didn't. And we talked about this a lot. I feel like we both agreed that Matt Nagy was kind of too easy on these guys, didn't really, get on anyone or anything. And I don't think that's going to be the case with Heberflus. And I think we're really going to see the people who want to be here and the people who don't.
So you talked about Coach Flus. That's, people that's hard to say Heberflus. Coach Flus seems to be the nickname they're running with on Bears Twitter. Coach Flus, he was compared to Lovie Smith. And on the Hogan Johns episode, they said there's a lot of similarities between the way Lovie ran things and Heberflus is going to run things. And I like that. It's a little bit more, I guess 10 years ago at this point is kind of an old school mentality. And I appreciate that. Apparently their plan is to dive in and really, what am I trying to say? Really embrace the old school mentality, but also try to apply it to a modern game, modern analytics, which that sounds good to me. Do you have any more thoughts about Coach Heberflus?
I mean, not that he's ever going to see this, but I hope he's the best of luck. I wish him the best of luck. I hope he's the right guy, because I don't really know how many times I could take, again, getting the guy wrong, a coach. Like, it's been like, ever since Lovey left, it's just been a revolving door. And I'm hoping he could be the guy that could solidify it and lock it down, because we feel like we have the quarterback of the future. So if this coach is the real deal, then that is something we don't have to worry about for a long time. And that would be amazing, considering of all the turnover we've had at those spots recently.
One thing I thought, one more thing about him is that he's not going to call defensive plays. With Nagy, he was always calling offensive plays and trying to run the whole team. He's going to focus on trying to run the whole team. So I think that's good. He's going to give the defense to his defensive coordinator. He will give his input, but he's not going to try to be worried about running it. He's going to be worried about running the team more as a whole. And then also, a lot of young quarterbacks we've seen recently with, for example, Josh Allen, Sean McDermott. That's a defensive coach, young quarterback. Even Bill Belichick, he's a defensive coach, young quarterback, and Mac Jones. There's a third team that's
Herbert,
like that.
Brandon Staley.
Brandon Staley, Herbert. There's been quotes, I don't know who said it, but they said that they like that their defensive coordinator can help them read defense. And that's something that Heberflus is definitely going to teach Justin Fields. So I think that's a good thing. Do you have any thoughts on Ryan Poles?
I mean, like I said, I think he seemed like a good speaker, that's all we've heard him do so far. So I get speaking is not really, I guess, an important part of the job, but he's good at that. So the only thing he's had to do so far, he's been pretty good at. We're just got to see what he does this offseason before we even make an opinion, I think. Obviously, we have a lot of free agents. It's going to be interesting to see the direction he takes, who he wants to bring back, who he doesn't care to bring back. And I think we're really going to see this offseason, like, the positions he values building the most, because he's going to have a pretty blank sheet to, go out and get whatever guys he wants. So I think we're going to kind of see his mentality and his style pretty early.
I think his plan of attack, he's going to focus on the offensive line. As an offensive lineman himself, when he played, he started with the Bears in training camp. He was an undrafted guy. I don't know how long he stuck around as an offensive lineman before he started getting into the front office side of things, but that's his specialty. And then he also hired an assistant GM, which the Bears never had before, who was also a former offensive lineman. So I think that's what their first plan of attack is, to get the offensive line right, which is good if you're going to have Justin Fields and you want him here for the future. One more thought about that is when he was hired, the reason why, that helped him get hired was that he was brutally honest about the state of the roster. He didn't go in there. He didn't try to kiss the McCaskey's ass like, oh, I think you got a good team here. He was like, no, you guys suck here. This needs to be fixed, that, and that. And I think he has a good vision for trying to fix his team if he was brutally honest about the roster.
Yeah, I agree. And talking about the assistant GM, this is another thing he was talking about at the press conference. He would talk about in Kansas City, there was so many, like, good smart football minds over there that they would come out and he said they would have like full out debates like in war rooms and in meetings because there was so many different voices, so many people wanting to pick different guys. So I think he wants to bring that over here, which I don't think is a problem because I think it'll get all the people in the room to focus on one thing at a time and try to make the best decisions possible. So the fact that he brought in an assistant GM, I think he's going to try to bring that style that they had in Kansas City over here and try to start more of a group-based discussion because, this obviously none of us know this for sure, but the word on the street is when Pace picked Trubisky, he didn't even talk to Nagy about it. Didn't even ask him his opinion, nothing like that.
Well,
so
you're thinking of Fox. Nagy wasn't here yet.
Yeah.
But same thing. He didn't ask his head coach.
Yeah. So. And that's something we're not going to have to worry about, I feel like, this time around.
And apparently Poles loves Justin Fields, too. I don't think he would take the job if he didn't believe that Justin Fields was the quarterback of the future for the Chicago Bears. All right, so we talked about it briefly. On the offensive side, they brought in Luke Getsy. He was the quarterback coach from the Packers. Apparently, he's another one of these young up-and-coming stars. He's like only 36, 37 years old. He's going to be the offensive coordinator. When you got Aaron Rodgers, it's probably pretty easy to be the quarterback coach, but also he knows what Rodgers did to prepare, to get ready. So I feel like that's still like a good person to help Justin Fields. And this isn't confirmed yet, but their interview is happening right now, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be confirmed. They're interviewing Joe Brady to be the QB coach, which I think would be a slam dunk hire. You guys don't know Joe Brady. He was down at LSU when Joe Burrow was down there and had the best college season of all time and all those great wide receivers like Jamar Chase. And then he got hired as the offensive coordinator for the Panthers. The Panthers sucked offensively. He was blamed. He was fired. But now he's interviewing to be the QB coach for the Bears, presumably because they already got the offensive coordinator, which would be awesome. We'll see what other guys he brings in that offensive staff. But do you have any thoughts about the offensive coordinators and this offensive side of the ball?
No, I would just like to see it improve. So I like that they're bringing in as many different people as possible. And like positions, like we think of a guy like Joe Brady, you wouldn't expect him to take a quarterback coach position after everything he's done, but looks like they're going all out for it. I think Joe Brady deserves another chance. I think Sam Darnold is garbage, and Cam Newton at this stage of his career isn't much better, if at all. So I feel like it's kind of tough to blame him for that. So if we have a chance to bring him onto the team and like get his dynamic and his experience, because we've seen him call plays for winning teams before, we know he could do it. So yeah, I think that would be great if we were able to bring him on.
All right, and then for defensive side of the ball, basically Matt Eberflus brought his entire staff from Indianapolis. He brought in the linebackers coach. He brought in the defensive line coach. He's brought in the safeties coach that was down in Indy. He's now going to be the defensive coordinator. I believe his name is, we were just talking about this before the show, and I forgot, Alan Williams. He's going to be the defensive coordinator. Every year that Matt Eberflus was down in Indy, he had a top 10 defense. And that being said, he had a top 10 defense, and he never had a double-digit sack, like a double-digit pass rusher, except for one season. And Indy's got some guys, but I honestly think the Bears defense has better players.
I would say from top to bottom, yes.
Comparable.
I think Buckner is better than any player on our defense.
So Indy's got Buckner, they got Leonard, they got Kenny Moore. We got Matt Quinn, Roquan, Jalen Johnson. I kind of rather have those guys personally, but I will admit I am biased.
Right. No, I would say, like 11 for 11. Our 11, I will take over their 11 for sure. But I feel like their top two was better than our top two. And that's not saying nothing away from Mac and Quinn, who I would say is probably our two best defensive players. Quinn obviously just broke our single season sack record, and Mac, we know what he could do, but Mac's been hurt. And okay, I know Quinn broke our single season sack record, but what do you have like the year before that, like 4? So we haven't really seen consistent play out of those two since they've been together. So until we,
I think going to a 4-3 is going to help them because I think they fit more naturally in a 4-3. That's what they both played before they came to the Bears. So,
and I think we should either bring back. It's another time, but I think bringing back Nichols or Hicks, one of those two, pairing them with Goldman, and then have Quinn and Mac on the outside edge rushing. You're talking about a killer front four right there.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what this defense to do. I mean, they're already good, but we know they shouldn't drop off. If anything, they should honestly get even better. And they're already a top 10 defense in the league. So I don't think we have to worry about the defensive side of the ball at all. I think right now it's all about getting the offense right. Because, I mean, we got a good defensive mind in there. He's brought his entire staff that's had success in Indy with less to work with. So now it's just a matter of Luke Getsy assembling his staff and just developing Justin Fields.
Yeah. Really, if you're talking offense, I think line has to be obviously top priority, no doubt about it. I don't even think it's remotely close. But I mean, I would say we need one. I really think Mooney is not. I don't think he's a one, but I think he could be a big down. We need a guy who can go in there like either a really like a white boy slot receiver, like a Hunter Renfrow type of guy, or like a Mike Williams type where he's just big and can take up space. Like we don't need another short, fast guy, in my opinion. Like we already have Mooney.
So you're right about that. I believe Mike Williams is a free agent. Chris Godwin's a free agent. There's a lot of good receivers been coming out of the draft this past couple years. So we'll have to see what Ryan Poles does in this offseason to get Justin Fields the best chance to have success. Any final thoughts, Drew?
I mean, I just hope I know a lot of people think that but like Chicago sports fans are like way too quick to criticize people because of what has happened in the past. But I think the only reason that we get that stereotype is because we've endured so much losing with our teams that we've just been so negative. So I hope that these guys can come out and do a job so the city and like the fans could really show like the team and the organization what it's like to get behind a solid team and organizational structure. And I hope that we finally get the chance to show that it's not just like a hateful fan base and that we're like proud of our team when we're there.
I hope that happens as well. I also think that we as fans got to give these guys a chance to do their jobs. We can't already, and I don't think it'll happen, but it wouldn't surprise me if Justin Fields comes out and plays bad and people are like, oh, we need to trade Fields or get rid of him. We messed up drafting Fields because this is just how toxic and hot and cold Chicago Bears fans are. So give these guys a chance. It's a fresh start. Let's be open-minded about everything. I better not see any fire Matt Eberflus tweets or fire Ryan Poles tweets. I already seen too many fire Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace tweets. So let's just give these guys a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to give them a chance. Like whether you like the hire or not, these are the guys. So if you want to sit here and hate on them, I mean, you can, but they're not going anywhere. So you might as well give them a chance.
All right, that's all for this episode of Unbearable Podcast. We will be back. The offseason, this is probably the most exciting part for a Bears fan because we're going to see how they build this team. Drew, I know you talked about doing some couple other different episodes, so we'll be back not too long. It won't be another 3-month hiatus. See you guys.
This last hiatus was not 3 months.
Well, last time was a week, but we were accused of the 3-month hiatus today before then, so. Apparently, we're not getting these episodes out fast enough.
Yeah. All right. Well, the Tri-City boys could, they can think what they want, but we're going to be here all off season breaking down what they do. But we don't want to give you guys like a filler video, Like I feel like if we're going to sit here and make a video, we want it to be worth your time to watch. And that's what we try to do. And that's why sometimes there's gaps.
Yep. I agree 100%. Be a friend. Tell your friends. If you want to act like you know what you're talking about with the Bears, I feel like we have a conversation where we gather everything. We tell you. So if you want to know what's going on with the Bears and not just what some guy that doesn't know what he's talking about, like you can listen to him, but we kind of know what we talk about. So tell a friend. Keep listening to us if you want to know about the Bears.